People say that depression is stigmatized. It's the complete opposite. It's accepted now to the point where it's almost promoted. It's insane. Let me tell you something. Depression is not real. Feeling depressed is real. You can feel depressed, but you feel depressed, and that is a natural biological evolutionary trigger for you to change something in your life. That's your own mind telling you you're unhappy about X. If I went to jail today, I'd be depressed because I'm in jail. Right. I haven't caught depression. I don't have a disease. I'm just upset with my situation. I have people message me all the time. I'm fat and I can't get a girlfriend because I'm depressed. I'm like, no, pancake lover. You're depressed because you're fat and you can't get a girlfriend. Do you understand? This is the point, right? So for a lot of people, your life is depressing. A lot of you out there, if you're sitting there and you say you suffer from depression, you probably live a depressing life. You probably live a depressing life. So if I was you, I'd be depressed. But if you were me, you'd be happy. You know what could solve depression for most poor people? $1 million in the bank.
Yeah.
Boom. So how is it a disease?
How are you going to complain that it's hard to be the man, but then also understand that being the man has value? They are linked. You cannot separate the two. It's a logic fail. If you love the fact, if you love the idea of being that character you dream of yourself to be, then you should love the fact it's hard to become that man, because it means no one else can do it. This is what I love. I love everything about my life. I know the shit I've been through to become who I am, and I wouldn't trade a second of it, because there's also this massive juxtaposition which is so important for masculine happiness and contentment. I'll tell you the coolest thing about being rich. Remember when I was broke? That's all it is. It's only cool to sit there with my brother in the fucking Nurse restaurant with Salt Bae being an idiot, spending 15 G's and saying, do you remember when we didn't have a penny?
Right.
15 grand for dinner? We never had 15 grand in our savings account in our lives.
Man.
Do you remember that time we were living off those 10p packs of noodles for 2 weeks? Do you remember? You need this juxtaposition. There is no light without dark. You will not appreciate your six pack unless you didn't have one and you had to earn it. That's how the world works. So when I talk to these dudes like, oh, but it's, you know what, Tate, yeah, I agree, but you know, it's hard. Of course it is, it's supposed to be. And if you're not cut out for it, then fuck off and live a normal existence and die. Sit there, letting other men enjoy the spoils of being a man and fucking die. If that's what you want to do, is just sit there and exist and then fade into history unremembered. That's your decision. If you want to level up your character, then you need to get out here and do it. You need to be around brave men. You need to get some balls. You need to get your network together. Listen to the truth. Humble yourself. Stop sitting there with an ego. Realize you ain't shit. Most of you fuckers could go look in the mirror right now, and if you were totally honest with yourself, go look in the mirror and be honest with yourself and say, if I was a hot bitch, would I fuck me? And the answer for most of you is no. So you can't be mad at women. They've got eyes. They see the same shit you see right now. And they just don't, the answer's fucking no. You ain't got shit worth fucking, my friend. When they look at me, they're like, okay, yeah, all right, fuck it. It is what it is. That's the game. But I made myself this way. I wasn't born this way. I absolutely and utterly made myself this way. And any single one of you men out here can do the same thing. It's impossible to be in a highly competitive environment and massively fail like most of these dudes are failing. I'm telling you now, I have zero sympathy for most of you guys, because the lives you live are the lives you have built for yourselves. You've built it for yourself from head to toe. You're nothing but lucky. Bacteria could have stole your eyesight at the age of 3, and it didn't. You could have been in a car crash and lost both your parents. Never happened. You've been nothing but lucky. Blind luck has given you a favorable hand, and you've managed to fuck it up. And then you want to message me and ask, how do I get pussy? You don't deserve any fucking pussy.
The last thing you should ever do is adopt the thinking of someone who is sad. Why would you want to think like the sad person? I'm sad and I'm semi-suicidal. You should have the same views and beliefs as me. But this is the thing, as a man, you need to build your value. This has all been discussed a million times before. All the things I have are things I've got myself. If you have nothing worth having, you're gonna live a depressing life.
Life as a man is far more difficult than life as a woman. And one of the key components of manhood always has been and always will be, we have the ability to control ourselves and not act emotionally. Females are more emotionally driven, more emotionally impulsive than a good man should be. Saying that I felt like crying, so I cried, this makes me a real man, is as stupid as me saying, well, I felt like smashing his face in, so I smashed his face in. This makes me a real man. No, the hallmark of a real man is controlling himself, controlling his emotions, and acting appropriately regardless of how he feels. And throughout human history, this is exactly how men had to live their lives. Do you think that the teenagers storming the beaches of Normandy felt like crying? Of course they did. But they also knew that that wasn't the correct thing for them to do. They had a duty to commit to, they had an honor, and they did what they were supposed to do regardless of how they felt. That is the mark of a man. Weakness and absolute submission to your feelings are not the hallmarks of men. It's not the way society has ever been built. It's never been built off the backs of men who were crying their eyes out because they felt like crying. The only kind of men who advocate crying are the kind of men who do not have enough self-control to prevent themselves from crying. Because we're all human. There's times in your life, as a man, you're gonna feel like crying. It's gonna happen. But what you're supposed to do is not cry. Because this is a test in mental fortitude. And there is no physical fortitude, there's no financial fortitude, there's no other type of fortitude without mental fortitude. So when you feel like crying, you ensure you do not cry. And you act appropriately as a man should. The men who say no, succumb instantly to your emotions, are the kind of people who have no self-control. And let me tell you something about men who have no self-control. Men who live without self-control are the kind of men who cry when their girlfriend cheats on them, because she certainly does, because she doesn't respect the little crybaby, and she's only with you because she's ugly as fuck and she has to settle for a little soy boy pussy like you. And these guys sitting there, what they're trying to do by telling you to cry is drag you down to their level. You look at people like me, and I say, Ross, that's a big G. He's out there, he's fucking women, he's got his Lambo, he's a multi-millionaire, self-made, 6'4", 4 times kickboxing world champion, chess genius. I don't like the way he's living his life because he's kicking too much ass. You need to cry more. He's trying to drag me down to his level so I can be a little crybaby like him. And he wants everyone else who reads his tweets to be a crybaby too, because the more little weaklings he can create, the less bad he'll feel about himself. No man wants to be a little crybaby if they're honest with themselves, and no woman certainly wants to fuck a little crybaby. So don't listen to the advice of people who are living lives you wouldn't want to live. What's actually interesting is, I always use this analogy. If you could build yourself from the ground up, if you could literally just, like from a video game, just tick characteristic boxes and build yourself, nobody would choose to be a small, weak guy who has to cry when he gets upset. Everyone, when they get that application form from God saying build yourself for your next life, would tick tall, strong, smart, mentally tough, doesn't cry, gets pussy, rich. They take all the things they tell me I'm bad, all the assets I have, everything that I am, they tell me is bad. But if they had the choice to have these things instantly, they would sign up. And the reason they don't have these things is because all of these things come with hard work. To be physically strong, you have to work out, that's difficult. To be financially independent, you have to be smart, that's difficult. So they don't have these things because they're hard for them to acquire, but if they're very easy for them to acquire, they'd have them all. Nobody wants to be a crybaby. The mark of being a real man is not being a crybaby. The mark of a real man is walking down the street, 5 guys with knives coming up to try and rape your girlfriend, and you look at them in the face and saying, fuck you. It's not crumbling into a ball, crying your eyes out and say, I have emotions too. That just makes you a bitch.
So what gives you unlimited motivation?
I don't believe in motivation as a concept. I believe in discipline and defined purpose. People who ask about motivation are basically saying, I don't feel like doing this. How do I feel like doing this? And the answer is, the true red pill is, you're never going to feel like doing it all of the time. Sometimes you're not going to want to do it. Doesn't matter what it is. If I were to tell you to go fucking surfing or skateboarding or driving a Ferrari every day, there's going to be days you wake up where you just don't feel like doing it, no matter how fun it is. That's life. But if you do not do it when you don't feel like doing it, you will never perform against a person who does it regardless of how they feel. You have to make a decision. Forget about the idea of motivation, forget about the concept of it. Throw it away and decide who you are. And this is a genuine task for you all to complete. Go look in the mirror, look into your own eyes and decide, am I a fucking loser or am I a winner? Because if you're only going to do what you feel like doing, you are a loser. That is the definition of a loser. A man who only does what he feels like doing is going to lose against the people who perform regardless. If you lose, what are you? A fucking loser. I decided I was a winner, and I knew what it took to win. To win, I have to perform day after day, so I decided I'm going to do this every day regardless of how I feel. Some days I'll enjoy it, some days I won't, some days it'll be fun, some days it won't. But I'm going to do it every single day to the best of my ability. I will not allow my emotional state to affect my actions. That's what winners do. Because let's say you're a professional fighter and you've agreed to fight on the 13th of July. That day comes around. You might feel like fighting. You might feel like kicking someone's ass. You might not feel like fighting. You might be a little bit sick. But it's the day, the arena's booked, you have to fight. So you don't get to say, well, I don't feel like it now. You don't get to lose and tell people, well, I didn't feel like it on that day. You just have to do it. You have to be good enough on your worst day to beat your opponent on his best day. It might be your worst day, it might be his best day. You still have to fight, and you still have to win. That's the game. So when people ask me about motivation, I make it very clear. I say, listen, motivation has nothing to do with any of this. This is about who you are. It's about your purpose, your divine purpose given to you, dictated by God. Are you the kind of person who lives a life worth living, or are you a fucking loser? Now, watching this, there's going to be some of you which fall into each category. You're not all winners. You're in the right place. But some of you are probably still lazy losers. That's the reality. Listen to this video. Take 10 minutes out of your life, go look in the mirror, look yourself deep in the eyes, look at yourself, and decide, are you a fucking loser? Because if you're a fucking loser, you can go read and watch a bunch of shit about motivation to try and convince yourself to do a little bit of work. Or are you a winner? Because if you're a winner, you don't give a fuck how you feel. Work needs doing and it must be done.
Want you to submit to me your vision for your dream life. Every time I ask somebody what their dream life is, they give a very lazy, sloppy answer. Well, I want to be rich. How rich? What does rich mean? How much money? Is it in liquid cash? Is it in stocks? Is it in crypto? In which country is it held? How do you diversify to protect yourself against matrix attacks? Who's your accountant? What's the name of the banks your money's held in? What are you going to buy? For you to become rich and successful is going to require pain and suffering, and you have to understand exactly what your dream life is to make the pain and suffering worthwhile. Think about it. Have you ever been to the gym and seen a person in fantastic physical condition? They're strong, they're ripped, they're large. And you say to them, how did you get so big and strong? And they say, I don't know. Oops, it kind of just happened. Or have you ever found a really rich man or a very successful man and said, how did you become rich and successful? And he goes, I don't know, bro. I just woke up one day and it kind of happened and now I'm living my dream life. No, there is a very detailed plan and roadmap. For you to become strong, you must eat a certain way. You must train a certain way. For you to become rich, you must earn money a certain way. You must understand exactly how you're going to make money, whether you're going to be a public-facing figure like me or a man of the shadows with millions of dollars. Unknown, but extremely powerful. You have to design your dream life. What house are you going to live in? Who's your woman going to be? Is she blonde? Is she brunette? What car are you going to drive? Have you even gone on the internet and spec'd your car? You can design your dream car right now for free on the internet, and you can choose the color, you can choose the wheels, you can choose the carbon. Is it a Lamborghini? Is it a Ferrari? Is it a McLaren? How much does it cost to the dollar? You talk about your dream life. You don't even know what your dream life is. How do you expect to get to a destination when you don't know where you're going? Do you understand? I designed my dream life long ago, before I was known, before I had anything. And I worked very hard with a very concise, very detailed plan to ensure I ended up exactly where I wanted to be. And you're not gonna end up where you want to be if you don't know where it is. So, for that reason, I want you to submit to me your dream life. I want you to be as detailed as possible. Do you have children? What house you're in? What your woman looks like? What's her personality like? Where did you meet her? What kind of person is she? What car do you drive? Who are your friends? Who are your network? What kind of men are you hanging around with? How are you making money? Are you known? Are you not known? What is your ideal job? How much money do you want to make a month? How much money do you have saved? You have to understand exactly what your dream life is. This is more than just an exercise in understanding how to become a successful person. This is an exercise in life. Without diligent planning, without concise, compendious plans, the chance of you achieving nearly anything is zero. And that is what we teach. Not only the ways to get rich, but also the mindset you should have once you're rich to ensure you're never a slave again. There is nothing stopping you, no matter what bank you bank with or which country you live in, from joining Hustlers University and understanding the secrets to modern wealth creation. We will teach you things which are up to date by the second. Our curriculum changes by the minute. Our professors are there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you have direct access to the multimillionaires teaching you in real time. This is a way for you to go up to the glass wall, break it, and be free. I'm waiting for you.
Join the real world and start changing your life now. Link is in the description.